Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Welcome back to our series on calculating a 2025 price target for Tesla. So far, we've managed to establish an estimate of Tesla's factory capacities, how many batteries will be required for these vehicles, and how many batteries Tesla might have available to them, both in-house and from their other suppliers. If you missed the start of the series, you can click on the link above. So we've arrived at two numbers now, one for batteries required for Tesla vehicle production, and another one for actual battery supply. Now, this will be a mix of batteries with the various types of cathodes. We've not calculated what proportion of batteries we will have available here. I've said that I may go into further detail on this later, as it could be useful, but at the same time, it's also difficult without more information from Tesla. Anyway, we ended up with a total battery consumption of vehicles of 923 kilowatt hours, and a total supply of 1,940 kilowatt hours, also known as about 2 terawatt hours. In other words, we have a difference of 1 terawatt hour. Now, for starters, the fact that Tesla would not want to simultaneously build their energy business with their auto business is nonsensical. Why? Well, what do vehicles run on? Electricity. So, despite EVs being better for the planet, they will put a lot more demand on electricity. So what's the point of using them if it means you have to open up more gas and coal plants? Kind of defeats the purpose, right? So far, there aren't too many EVs on the road having that much of an impact, but it won't take long until we see 10 to 20 times the number, which will start to drain the existing power more than the current grids can handle. So obviously, Tesla will have to work on improving the grid in unison with building EVs. Okay, so when we subtract those numbers, we're left with about 1 terawatt hour. Most kilowatt hours of energy storage will be in the megapacks, using LFP batteries, but the powerwalls are using nickel and manganese. So let's first start by estimating the number of powerwalls Tesla are selling in 2025. Now in Q1 2020, Tesla announced their 100,000th powerwall sale. Remember, every powerwall sale is using batteries that could have otherwise been used in cars, so they're not making enough to meet demand. Each powerwall is 13.5 kilowatt hours. Now, if Tesla have enough nickel and manganese batteries for 100 gigawatt hour of Powerwalls, then that's actually enough for 7.5 million Powerwalls. Okay, that's quite a step up from 100,000, but the average American household could even require 2 Powerwalls. Look, these numbers are going to be big. Remember, we're transitioning to renewable energy for everyone, and as big as that number sounds, we're still only at 5% of US households, let alone the entire world. And yes, there could be other competitors out there too, also offering battery storage, and perhaps a lot of customers will be using Tesla's heat pump for their house as well, so actually end up requiring less power anyway, and may only need 1 Powerwall instead of 2. But if Tesla have the batteries capable of this, then they will sell them. In addition to that, I think the price will also have dropped somewhat by this stage, due to the much lower cost of batteries, and the fact they probably need more demand. Currently Powerwalls are more of a luxury, in that you are independent and self-sustainable of energy yourself, but it won't be long until they just save you enough money and the cost is low enough, everyone can justify purchasing one. Currently, we're at $8,000 for a power pack. I think if they were able to get the price down to $5,000, then they will be cost sufficient enough for almost every home to justify the savings. And the cost should be down significantly at this stage, so I see no reason Tesla can't aim for this price. I also think they can achieve that with a 30% margin, which gives us $37 billion in revenue and just over $11 billion in gross profit. So according to Tesla, about half the people who buy solar buy with Powerwalls, implying twice as many people who buy Powerwalls buy solar. So if we have 7 million Powerwalls sold, and an average of 1.5 per household, yes, currently the average household does require 2, but perhaps by then it will be less, and not everyone buys 2 just because it's required. Then we have 4.5 million households buying Powerwalls, which come to 9 million households buying solar. Average households currently need 8 kilowatts of solar, so that's 72 gigawatts of solar for residential customers. The solar business has not been performing great over the years. Elon has said it's because they'd had to focus more on the vehicles. So let's hope that by 2025, we've finally seen solar panels make some substantial gains. Now we've been seeing the price of solar fall significantly over the last decade, and it should continue to do so, as more people switch to it as a source of energy. The current price for 8 kilowatts is $16,000. So I'd like to hope the price has dropped by 1/3 in 5 years, and say $10,000. Again, this price point will just make solar that much more feasible for every household, assuming Tesla can actually make enough. In combination with your Powerwall, just why wouldn't you want to save the equivalent of perhaps half of your power costs? Again, I expect Tesla to have a 30% margin, generating $90 billion of revenue and $27 billion of gross profit. So that leaves 900 gigawatt hours for battery storage for megapacks and power packs. So let's say that each battery pack is 100 megawatt hours in size. To give an idea, the Tesla megapack talked about the most is the Hornsdale Power Reserve in South Australia. This one was 129 megawatt hours. And this cost 90 million Australian dollars, or US 70 million. It has, however, already saved far more than that for consumers' power costs. So in other words, even at $70 million, this is a justifiable cost. On the other hand, Australia does have some very expensive electricity prices. Anyway, the equivalent cost of this megapack in Australia at 100 megawatt hours would be US $55 million, and the cost of the batteries at the cell level would only be about $5 million at $50 a kilowatt hour. So if Tesla can sell a 100 megawatt hour battery pack for 30 million US dollars, there should still be a huge profit in there for Tesla. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think Australia was using lithium iron phosphate batteries, which might have something to do with the significant cost savings as well. One disclaimer here though, I do not believe that Tesla will be selling these so much. I believe their business model will be them self-funding their energy storage so they can use their Autobidder software and likely profit a lot more, with ongoing income from each one. I also think Tesla will likely supplement these megapacks with their own solar farms too, but they may only be able to make enough solar for residential at this stage. But for argument's sake, to base a value on them that we can actually use to gather a price target, we'll go $30 million sale price, and again 30% margin. And as we have so many batteries allocated to megapacks, we are expecting to sell 900 of these a year, coming in at a total revenue figure of $270 billion, and at 30%, with just over $80 billion gross profit. As we're on energy, I think heat pumps are fairly related, so let's just do a quick heat pump estimate too. Given the fact that the purpose of these heat pumps would likely be to cut your heating and cooling bill by about half, then the demand should be very high, implying it will all come down to how many heat pumps Tesla can be making at this stage. They're rumoured to be announced later this year, so we'd expect them to be manufacturing a reasonable quantity by 2025. The global heat pump industry is expected to reach between $90 and $100 billion a year by 2025, at around 15 million units. The average cost of heat pump is around $5,000 to $6,000. So if Tesla's heat pumps are more efficient than typical heat pumps and cost the same price, then they really should be the go-to brand. Of course, we'd expect other intelligence from a Tesla product other than just better efficiency. Obviously, a heat pump is a lot simpler to manufacture than a car, but it's going to be hard to guess to what they would have scaled to by this stage. On the other hand, it's not going to be a big part of their business. Its main purpose is to reduce energy consumption in the first place, which makes sense. So perhaps their market share is around 7% at this stage, coming in at 1 million units a year, generating $5 billion in revenue, which is $1.5 billion in gross profit at 30% margin. When we look at all these totals for energy, we can see that we get $500 billion in revenue and about $150 billion in gross profit. Our next video, we're going to explore robotaxis. Thanks for listening, please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.